Welcome back to Cross-Strait Chronicles. We turn complex cross-strait history into stories you can actually enjoy. Grab a seat, relax, and let's travel back in time, across the strait. In the last episode, we watched the 100 Days Reform crash and burn. A young emperor tried to save the Qing dynasty at high speed. Reformers pushed too fast. Conservatives panicked. Empress Dowager Cixi stepped back onto the stage. The reform failed. Its leaders were executed or exiled, and the door to peaceful top-down reform never fully closed, but it cracked. What followed was worse, because when reform collapses, anger doesn't disappear. It looks for another outlet, and that outlet, for millions of desperate people, became fists, rituals, and rage. Today's story is loud. It's chaotic. It's full of rumors, fear, anger, and very bad decisions. And it ends with 8 foreign armies marching into Beijing. This is the story of the Boxer Rebellion. Not just a violent uprising, but a moment when an empire completely lost control of the narrative, the streets, and itself. Segment 1. A Country on Edge. By the late 1890s, northern China was in bad shape, really bad. Floods, droughts, crop failures, banditry, unemployment. Peasants watched their livelihoods vanish, and right next door, they saw something else rising. Foreign railways cutting through graves, missionaries preaching unfamiliar gods, foreign merchants protected by gunboats and unequal treaties. To ordinary villagers, this didn't look like globalization. It looked like invasion, slow, legal, and humiliating. And the Qing government, it looked distant, weak, and often more interested in collecting taxes than protecting people. Fear filled the vacuum left by authority. Segment 2. Who were the Boxers? The Boxers officially called themselves the Righteous and Harmonious Fists. They practiced martial arts. They performed rituals. They believed that through spirit possession, breathing techniques, and moral purity, they could become immune to bullets. Yes, bullets. This sounds absurd today, but belief systems flourish where desperation lives. To starving peasants, to people watching foreign power grow unchecked, this wasn't superstition, it was hope. And hope, mixed with rage, is combustible. Segment 3. Rumors, Magic, and Moral Panic. Rumors have spread faster than facts ever could. Foreign missionaries were accused of kidnapping children, poisoning whales, using body parts for medicine. None of this was true, but truth had very little power in a terrified countryside. Boxer rituals offered something the Qing state could not. Certainty, community, a sense of control. They promised, if you are righteous, the gods will protect you. History spoiler alert, the gods were very busy elsewhere. Segment 4. Violence begins at the margins. At first, the violence targeted Chinese Christians. Why? Because converts often lived under foreign protection. They could appeal to missionaries and consuls. They didn't bow at temples anymore. To desperate villagers, they looked like traitors, or at least collaborators. The Qing state hesitated. Should it suppress the Boxers, or quietly let them scare foreigners away? Local officials often chose not to choose, which turned hesitation into permission. Segment 5. Cixi's Impossible Dilemma. Empress Dowager. Cixi watched all of this with deep anxiety. Foreign pressure was intense. Reform had failed. The dynasty's legitimacy was cracking. The Boxers were dangerous, but they were also anti-foreign. And for the first time in years, the streets were chanting slogans that sounded loyal. Some court officials whispered, "Use them." Others warned, "They will bring disaster." Cixi did what many rulers do under pressure. She delayed. She hedged. She tried to ride the tiger. History note: you cannot ride a tiger. Segment 6. Beijing explodes. By 1900, Boxer violence reached Beijing. Foreign legations were besieged. Missionaries were killed. Diplomats hid behind sandbags. And then came the moment that changed everything. The Qing court declared war on the foreign powers. This was not a calculated strategy. It was desperation, dressed up as defiance. Segment 7. The Eight-Nation Alliance: Britain, France, Germany, Russia, Japan, the United States, Austria, Hungary, Italy. They didn't agree on much, but they agreed on this. The Qing had crossed a line. Foreign troops marched on Beijing. The Boxers charged. With swords, charms, and faith, machine guns answered. Segment 8. The Fall of Beijing. Beijing fell quickly. What followed was brutal. Looting, executions, punitive expeditions into the countryside. Foreign soldiers didn't just punish Boxers. They punished villages. The myth of invincibility died publicly, violently, and completely. Segment 9. Cixi flees, Empress Dowager. Cixi fled Beijing disguised as a peasant. The symbolism was devastating. The ruler of China running. The Qing dynasty survived, technically, but morally, psychologically, it was finished. Segment 10. The Boxer Protocol. The peace settlement was crushing. Massive indemnities. Foreign troops stationed permanently in China. Executions of officials. China wasn't colonized, but it was disciplined, and everyone knew it. Segment 11. Why the Boxers failed. The Boxers failed because they fought modern empires with pre-modern tools. They confused moral righteousness with military power. They were exploited by elites who never planned to protect them. They were not insane. They were desperate. And desperation makes people believe impossible things. Segment 12. The Tragic Irony. The Boxer Rebellion was anti-foreign, but its result? More foreign control, more humiliation, more urgency for reform. After 1900, even conservatives admitted this system cannot survive. Too late. The Boxer Rebellion was not just violence. It was a scream from people who felt abandoned by their state, overwhelmed by change, and powerless in their own land. The tragedy wasn't only that they lost, it was that they were never given a better option. So here's the question for you. Were the Boxers heroes, victims, or a warning of what happens when fear replaces leadership? Leave your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to read them. If this video helped make Cross-Strait history a little less confusing, consider giving it a like and subscribing. History is complicated, but learning it doesn't have to be. Next episode, the final collapse, how the Qing dynasty fell, and what replaced it. I'll see you in the next episode.